the prosecutor asked, how'd you even get involved, right? Because you didn't see anything. You didn't know anything. You didn't see anything. You did all this off of an assumption, right? How'd you get involved? He said he was outside. He saw one of the neighbors down the street frantically pointing in the direction down whatever the name of the street was. Travis is like, oh, he's pointing over there. Let me go over there and see what's going on. And he goes out there and he sees, right, a mob running. And he said, well, obviously, if my neighbor's pointing and I know that down there is where the vacant home is and the neighbor is pointing over here, then obviously there's something down there that needs my attention. Why? Because I'm Batman, right? I'm the neighborhood Batman. So, well, technically Robin, because his dad, right?
You could have just let him run, correct?
I could have, but I also wanted to make sure that everything was okay down the road and see what was happening. I wanted to ask him, at least ask him what was happening and see what he would say and go from there.
Despite the fact that you know about the Fifth Amendment, you know that no one has to talk to anyone they don't want to talk to, right?
That's correct.
And you said that you wanted to know what had happened and that you saw Matt Albenzi out in the street when you came out with your shotgun from your house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't go down and ask Mr. Albenzi what was going on, did you?
I did not.
Okay. So at one point in time, I think you said you thought, well, maybe somebody had been hurt or something had been broken into, or maybe Larry English was down there, right?
That's correct.
Right. But you didn't head that way to see what exactly had happened, did you?
I did not, because Mr. Albenzi was pointing down the road. I took it as whatever happened, you need to go that way. You need to go that way. Something has happened. And then trying to ask him was to see what was happening. What happened?
Because something had happened.
Something has happened.
The power of the finger, the power of someone pointing, never saying a word, right? Pointing in the direction of a person, and that person happened to be black, right? You follow me? That person happened to be black. And just the idea that simply just pointing, you know, as we know back in the day, I'm talking the day, right? Where it was a mere allegation, like, you know, an allegation. Oh, he whistled at me, right? Was enough to get you lynched. To think that you can point and never say anything. And that's enough evidence, that's enough probable cause for someone to think it's okay, right? To do what they did. That's what he based it off of. He based it off of someone pointing in the direction. He goes out there and says, oh, I see a black guy. This has to be what my neighbor was talking about. Right? That's powerful, man. And I'm listening to it unfold and it makes me sick to my stomach. To think that, obviously we still have people like that, right? And I know we do. But man, to hear them try to rationalize it, trying to make sense of it, and they're in such the power to point to a person with black skin and that be enough to say that they are guilty of something that you haven't even confirmed, that you don't even know, right? Damn. That just tore me to the core, listening to him say that, you know.
All right, so on January 1st, he says he's sorry about your gun being stolen out of your car. Is that right?
Yes, that's what he wrote.
All right. And then you indicated that you had a pretty good feeling about who stole it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you found out where he lived. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you'd been watching him for several days.
Yes.
That was not Mr. Arbery.
No, that was the truck I was telling you about.
Okay. And you then indicated that this may be the same individual who has been causing trouble in the neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But that's not Mr. Arbery.
No, ma'am.
So why, in your written statement, 2 hours after the homicide, do you put down the very first sentence, on January 1st of 2020, approximately between 9 and 10:30, I had my vehicle broken into and my Smith & Wesson gun stolen out of my truck?
Because I was aware of things of burglaries and vehicles being broken into the neighborhood, and then on top of seeing what I saw on the 11th, that there are things being broken into. I was under concern that Mr. Arbery could be a suspect in this, or he could not be. But like I said prior, he is the one that I have seen, and he is the one that has been in that house several times. So of course I'm thinking he's a suspect. But I don't know if it was him or the other people that they've seen or if I've heard about.
Look at the setup, right? This is more things about this case that's very frustrating. I'm gonna tell you what it is. But I will say this though, you guys, where did this whole thing go wrong, right? We know from Officer 1 on the scene, never treated this like a murder investigation. So therefore, we're hearing all these things now from Travis and we're not hearing anything from Greg, but we're hearing all these things from Travis. What are we actually hearing? We're hearing the confessions of a killer. We're hearing the thoughts of a person who committed murder, who was never properly investigated from the beginning. And now we're surprised, right? We're surprised about the things that come out of his mouth, but this is how it works. This is what it looks like when you're investigating someone who just killed somebody. You're looking for the truth. You're looking for the facts. You're putting the pieces together, the thing that was not done properly to begin with, right? What happened? What did she say? She pointed out something that was so interesting. She talked about his car being broken into, right? And we all heard about it because that was a very solid foundation they used for the defense, right? They're like, hey, someone broke into his car one night. I thought it could have been him. He reached into his pants and my gun was stolen, right? You had Gregory McMichael talking to the police initially, right? When he was just being interviewed on body cam. He makes a statement, oh, my son's gun was stolen. We suspected it could have been him. One night he was reaching in his pants. So he's incorporating this whole thing about his car being broken into and his gun being stolen, which was legit. He made a police report, right? We know that, at least we know he made a police report. So we could say that's on record. But man, the prosecutor found a Facebook post. One of his, I guess, friends on Facebook or someone who lives in the community saw his post about his gun being stolen. He said, hey man, I heard what happened. So sorry that your gun was stolen. Well, Travis responds, he's like, hey, don't worry about it. I know who did it, right? I've been investigating them. Oh, I followed them. I know where they live at. This is what he's saying in his Facebook post, right? That me, Travis McMichael, right? Certified neighborhood cop, certified. He's saying, hey, listen, I looked into it already. I followed them. I know where the guy lives at, right? I know who took it, right? He's confessing this on Facebook, right? He's telling it all on Facebook. You know who took your weapon, broke into your car. You followed them. You did your own investigation. But yet, you blamed it on Ahmaud. right? You speculated that it had to be Ahmaud, but you already knew that it wasn't. But that's not the only thing. They talked about the boat being broken into and things being stolen off the boat, right? They used this when they were talking to the police about their speculation. Hey, well, we've had all these break-ins and all these, but what we end up learning is that they had answers to those questions already, right? The owner of the boat suspected that his tools were actually stolen from the contractor. And that information was shared with the McMichaels. They knew, right? So how are you pitting that crime on Ahmaud? Right? They had another lady, purse stolen. Found out the lady said, hey, I know who did it. Right? So they're using the crime that occurred in the community, and essentially, not that the crime was solved per se, but they knew, right? They knew the culprit was not Ahmaud, but they used that still to try to justify after his death as justification for why they were chasing after him. They had no legitimate reason, you guys. And I mean, we knew that. But to hear the root of the evidence, right? This goes back to the video I did when they were talking about Greg McMichael telling the police that, hey, just go knock on some doors and ask somebody. I'm sure you'll find somebody or a crime that was committed, because there's no way a black man can be running through a neighborhood that fast and not have done something wrong. Man. See, that mentality is toxic. It's poison in this country. That mentality that has managed to evolve, right? That mentality is malignant. It's generational, right? How do you purge that out of someone? How do you purge that thinking out of someone, right? If you just go knock on some doors, sir, he's dead, right? You've executed him, right? Because he wouldn't talk to you. Because he wouldn't talk to you. Well, all he had to do was just stop. What if he was mute? What if Ahmaud was deaf? Right? Like, let's be real. What if he was mute? What if he was deaf? If he would have just listened to me. So you can't harass people like that. You don't have the authority to, right? Well, the attorney circles back around. She said, hey, you guys did all this. When did you call the police? So you have a pattern of playing vigilante and never involving law enforcement. She points it out clear as day. He's done, you guys. And rightfully so. Travis is an imbecile. And whatever coaching they tried to give him, you can't coach stupidity. You can't coach ignorance, right? And you cannot coach malice, intent.
Freeze.
Yep.
How far away, again, are you from him when you come up next to him down Burford Road?
Once again, I was center line. Tires were just on the other side of the center line, so my body was center line, and he was 2-3 feet off the road. So, from me to you, no further.
2 or 3 feet off the road?
No, he was on the road, 2 to 3 feet from the edge.
Okay.
So he was, if this was the edge of the road, he was
All right.
running down the.
And this far away about?
No further than that. Yes.
4 feet? 3
4
feet?
feet.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 feet, 3, 4 feet.
Are you yelling?
No, I'm not. I'm actually probably softer than I was the first time.
All right.
Just trying to.
You said that you spoke to him now this third time when you get up here further down Burford Road. Does he stop running at any point up here?
Yeah, so after I get up to him again, I say, hey, I just want to talk to you. I want to know what's going on. He finally stops.
Okay.
Great.
I want to talk to you. I want to know what's going on.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So we finally stop, ask what's going on. He never says anything to me. He still look at me angry. I'm thinking, man, this guy's, yeah, this could be volatile. You know, let's kind of watch him here. I ask him again, hey, what happened down the road? Why are people pointing down the road? You know, where are you running from? He didn't say anything, and he's still kind of in the same spot he is. He's not squaring up or anything like that. He's just standing there. And then I said, hey, the police are on the way. As soon as I said the police, he turned and ran straight back down Burford towards Holmes, Satilla.
He turns back and comes back down Burford, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The police are on the way, and then you say he...
If you guys need to go back, I put that clip in there specifically for you to see, right? And I know a lot of you don't need convincing, but I wanted you to see the body language. Look at his eyes, right? Look at how his chest moves as he's breathing, as he's answering questions. Pay attention. You guys, this is what a killer looks like. This is what a person who was guilty looks like. This is their mannerisms. This is their facial expressions. When you see them responding to things that they don't even believe is true, you see it. You give it away. Someone asked me one day about, hey, how do you know people are lying? And I always use this as an example. I think it's a perfect example. Have you ever seen like a school of fish, right? A school of fish. And you just see them all just, right? And you're paying attention to everything because everything is moving in unison. Everything is just graceful. A school of fish. But if one fish steps out of that pattern and deviates, it's completely distracting, right? It's completely distracting. And that's where the lie is at. That's where the lie is at, right? The moment you deviate from that flow, and it's something that you just, over time, you train that instinct through just human interaction, right? You see it. You see it. So.
And at that point, Mr. Arbery turns around and runs back down Burford to get away from you, correct?
That's correct.
So at this point in time, he's running away from you. He has not threatened you.
No.
Hasn't pulled out a gun.
No, ma'am.
Hasn't pulled out a knife.
He did not.
Still arms at his sides.
That's correct.
And he's trying to get away from you.
And I was letting him run away. Yes, ma'am.
You were letting him run away.
That's correct.
One thing that I find interesting is that we're diving into the ego of a simple-minded man, right? Who has a superiority complex. Why do I say that? It's the way he responds to questions, right? A person who has a superiority complex, in my opinion, when they answer certain questions, their response is based on the authority that they believe they have over someone else, right? And it's a lot of times it's either unconscious or it's very intentional. But in this, we have someone who truly believes they're superior, right? Why do I say that? She asked him a question about the pickup truck, right? Talked about how he got out of the truck and he brandished the gun. He said, well, I thought it was going to make him go away, but he came back. I thought he was coming towards me. And so I was preparing myself, right? And then she says, well, then he went around the truck. He's trying to get away from you, sir. He says, well, if he wanted to get away from me, he had plenty of options. He could have ran in the grass in that direction. Could have ran off in the ditch, right? I wasn't blocking him, right? You know what he said? So she says, well, you're trying to trap him. He said, no, I was gonna let him leave. If he would have just went the other way, right? Because I knew if he goes this way, eventually the police will come, because in my mind, I thought someone called the police. He said, no. I wasn't trying to trap him. I was going to let him leave. Let him leave. What? Right? This is the mind. Such a broken, ignorant mind. Right? Sins of the father, you guys. Who raised them? Right? Who raised them? You know, people talk about racism. People talk about these prejudices, right? People who are racist. This is a learned behavior. Who taught him? Right? Who taught him? Sins of the father, man. And this racist mindset is malignant, right? I was gonna let him. You don't own anybody. You don't own anybody. Genetics, man. Passing on that genetics. How do you flush that? Right? How do you flush that out of people?
All right. Didn't brandish any weapons.
No, ma'am.
Didn't pull out any guns.
No, ma'am.
Didn't pull out any knife.
No, ma'am.
Never reached for anything, did he?
No.
He just ran.
Yes, he was just running.
So at this point in time, you catch up to him on Burford by pulling up next to him. Is that right?
Yes, pulling alongside, keeping with my window right there. I did.
So as he's running down the street, okay, let's say this is the street, he's on this side of the road, consistent with someone driving forward, or is he on that side of the road looking at oncoming traffic?
Oncoming traffic.
Okay, so he's
Yes.
on the side for oncoming traffic.
That's correct.
All right, so you pull up next to him. Is that right?
Yes.
You startled him.
No.
Are you a mind reader?
I'm not, but I could see his actions, the way that he didn't veer, he didn't run off. I came up to him slowly, just like I would anybody else, and I've never startled anybody doing that before. Anybody walking or jogging or running. I've never had anybody become startled on that, so I don't know why it would be.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. How many times have you pulled up on strangers that you don't know next to them with a pickup truck to ask them what they're doing in your neighborhood?
I don't think I have in that situation, but I have pulled up on people that are running behind, coming up behind them. But, I mean, if you could be startled for somebody coming up behind you is one thing or the other. You can tell if somebody is, but I didn't startle him. I didn't.
So he's running, you pull up, he looks at you, and you say to him, what?
I say, hey, what's going on? Hold on a second.
All right. And he didn't say anything back to you?
No, ma'am.
All right. He just kept running?
He stopped and turned and went backwards. That was the first time. That was the one caught on Mr. Roddy's or Mr. Brian's video. Was turned out to be the first qualification.
Okay, so hold on. You pull up next to him, he stops, and then he turns and starts running this way. Back down Burford towards Satilla.
Yes.
And then you back up. Is that right?
I did.
So you back up the truck to follow him, and at some point in time, what do you say to him at that point?
I'm asking him, what are you doing? You know, what's going on? What happened down there? Why is there some, you know, I ask him why somebody pointing down the road. As I'm talking, that's when he turns and runs back down Burford.
So now you're asking him, hey, why is somebody pointing down the road? That's what you're asking him?
That's what I was trying to get to ask him why there's people pointing down the road.
All right, Mr. McMichael, not asking for generalities and what's in your head. I want to know exactly what you were saying to the man jogging down the street. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. What exactly did you say to him the first time you pulled up to him?
I want to talk to you.
And he turned and ran.
He stopped, turned, and then went the other direction.
Okay. And that was an indication to you that he didn't want to talk to you?
Yes.
That was an indication he was not going to stop for you?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point in time, you chose to put your truck in reverse and back up at him.
Back up along with him.
So he's trying to get away from you, doesn't want to stop, doesn't want to talk, and you're backing up to go along with him.
That's correct.
And at some point in time then, he turns to run up Burford, right?
Yes, I've asked him again, or asked him that I wanted to talk to him. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was to the effect that I want to talk to him and what happened down the road.
And at this point in time, you're not wearing any sort of uniform.
No, ma'am.
You're not in a marked patrol car.
I'm not.
You don't have any badges on your sleeves.
I do not.
And when you told the police you were talking, stop right there, stop where you're at. Do you remember telling the police that that's what you said?
That's what's on here. Yes, ma'am. You want me to read it?
I'm just asking you if that's what you said. You said, what's going on? He won't stop. I said, that's him. Stop right there. Stop where you're at.
Yeah, that's part of it.
All right. So at this point, you're ordering him to stop. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say ordering. I was asking him.
Like nicely and politely, please, sir, stop?
At first, it was not police or service. Hey, could you stop? Please, yes, stop for a second. Stop for a second. My voice inflection and tone, I was trying to keep the situation calm.
And this is at the time that he's already decided that he doesn't want anything to do with you and has run back down Burford towards Satilla.
Yes.
All right. But you just said, who knows what? You didn't know what this guy was going to do, right?
I did not.
And all he had done so far is run away from you, right?
He has ran past me and ran away, and I let him run away, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But at this time, you're not letting him run away. You're pointing a shotgun at him, correct?
I am not letting him run to me, directly to me.
And he doesn't. He runs around there, right?
He did.
Mm-hmm. And comes around that corner, and you have closed the distance yourself on him, haven't you?
I have gone to the front of my truck. I did not go to the passenger side of my truck at that time. I was trying to keep an eye on him to make sure that he didn't try to get in my truck or try to get to my dad or who knows, go into the passenger side or what. I was trying to keep an eye on him, and I would think that he's avoided me once I aimed the shotgun. If he sees me at the front of the truck, then he will not come back around, which I was thinking was more than likely was going to happen, and then he would continue to go.
So at this point in time, you could have stepped closer to your pickup truck and kept that pickup truck between you and him, correct?
Can you say that again?
Sure thing. You have moved out in the road, you've aimed this shotgun at Mr. Arbery.
I did.
Mr. Arbery goes to the passenger side of the truck.
Yes.
Okay? Your dad is still yelling at him because we can hear him go, "Stop, goddammit, stop," right?
Yes.
You could have easily just stepped back to your pickup truck and watched him keep going, right?
I could have, yes, but I still didn't know what he could have done right there where I couldn't see him. And to get closer to the pickup, to get closer to Dad, to get to the truck, if he's going to try to come to the truck, I will be right there. So I was thinking that he was a threat, that he might go after myself, my father, or the truck. I wanted to be right there to deter him or to be able to handle it if I needed to.
So you also could have stepped around the back of the truck and followed him in the path that way. Is that right?
Yes, but then he would have an open, unrestricted run around the truck and into my open door into my pickup truck and could have took the truck.
So you're telling this jury that a man who has spent 5 minutes running away from you, you're now thinking is somehow going to want to continue to engage with you, someone with a shotgun, and your father, a man who's just said, "Stop or I'll blow your fucking head off," by trying to get in their truck?
That's what it shows, yes ma'am.
This was a very, very powerful cross-examination. The prosecutor just destroyed him on the stand. He was full of contradictions. He was full of lies. He was full of illogical explanations, right? Nothing that he said made sense. I don't think anything truthful came out of him except for his ability to manipulate a gun, right? Like outside of that, his interactions. And of course, he has to lie, you guys. He's looking at forever in prison. So of course he's gonna lie. His statements don't even match his original statements given by the police. She asked him, "Hey, you told the police asked you, did he grab your gun?" He said, I don't know, I don't remember. Right? I don't remember. I don't remember. You had no authority, right? You had no evidence to support. You were told that he committed no theft, no crime. You had trespassing at best, but you had white people who have also trespassed. You knew who stole your gun out your car, right? You were told by the owner of the boat. He speculated that the items out of his boat were taken from contractors, right? You had no burglary. You had no immediate knowledge. You had no active knowledge. You didn't witness any crime. A man pointed to a black man and you felt that was more than enough justification for you to do what you did. How dare a black man run through your neighborhood? Do you know who I am? Right? How dare you think you can run through my neighborhood? A man pointed at him. Get him, right? The mind, man. And then the father holding him saying you had no choice. Who taught him? You know, racism is a plague. It's a plague. And you merely just need to sniff it in order to contract it. Right? The superiority complex. The fact that man can point. Next week, I believe they're going to have their closing arguments, you know, and then it's going to be down to the jurors. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Until then, you guys, good night. God bless.